America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, jumping right in. Approval of the last month's minutes for the regular session. Thank you. Thank you. Any corrections, questions, comments? Nope. All in favor? Thank you. And now the approval of the work session minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, JB. Thank you, Sandy. Any questions, comments, corrections on that one? Nope. All in favor? 9-0. Thank you. On to Joint Advisory Committee reports. Tom, you have Recs and Lakes, right?
Yep. Recreation summary, October 13th. The board chair introduced the newest member of the committee, Cheryl Cherry. Jackie mentioned the pickleball fundraiser for the Historical Society raised $7,000. Myself gave a committee budget item approval, gave the committee budget. On to the next item. Should have read that beforehand. John Urquhart, there were 6,300 ranger contacts in the month of September versus 5,800 prior year, same month. Trout stocking in November is dependent upon weather, temperatures, and the restrooms will be winterized in the month of October. Tyree Park, a member mentioned the idea of croquet courts. Granton Park kayak racks appeared to be in dire need of structural maintenance, and our maintenance team is working on those. And Lake Avalon, a member voiced safety need for umbrellas at the lifeguard stands to avoid dangerous long-term sun exposure. And the next meeting is on November 10th. With regards to lakes, final details of the Fly Tires Carp tournament were discussed. The event will occur on October 11th, so it has already taken place. Loch Lomond set to be lowered by 6 feet beginning November 3rd, depending upon weather, and will be start refilling March 2nd, depending upon weather. Detailed discussion occurred concerning the stocking of hybrid striped bass in the Bella Vista Lakes. No planned stocking in the near future. Fish originally stocked to control the gizzard shad population. Reduced catches of hybrids due to smaller number of fish per acre of water, approximately 1 to 2 fish per acre. Members and committee members mentioned the rationale of stocking these fish given our current situation. A member asked about the status of the boat violation fee, and that actually is going to be covered in today's board vote. And One Lakes JEC meeting will occur on December 3rd, so they will not have between November and December, they're actually going to merge that into the December 3rd meeting. And that was the update from Lakes.
Thank you. Ms. Ruth, golf?
Okay, Darren Muldoon, Golf Ops reported the golf rounds, and September golf rounds were ended at 22,304. They were down 4,089 over last September. Year-to-date rounds ended at 160,721. They're down by 13,679 rounds. Highlands Golf Course was closed for half the month of September for their fairway project. This negatively affected the rounds for the month. We opened on September 12th and have nothing but positive feedback for the new fairways. Highland continues to be carts on path and no blue flags. Range buckets ended the month at 57,809, up by 17,833 over last year. They're hitting balls. Okay, Graham Kornmeyer Golf Maintenance. Fall green aeration was successful and completed the bent grass courses. The The asphalt grinding has improved in smoothness of Brittany cart paths on holes 1 through 4 and half of 5, and left a surface that can be driven on by the golf carts without noticeable bumps in the path. We see that some cracking in places and some large chunks that got knocked off by the cart paths. We will be monitoring this during the winter and in the freeze and the thaw and cycles and see if there's any damage comes from this. If not, we will look at this for the other courses of buying a new grinder in the fall. We have board approval for all permitting completed to repair the creek bank on number 13th and Highlands Country Club, and that's underway. Concrete cart path has been poured in the tunnel between number 8 and 9 at the Country Club. We are seeing a lot of new bent grass seeds germinated and begin to grow in Kingswood, Brooksdale, and Highlands Greens that were damaged due to this summer. We finished spiking and seeding the bare areas of the Kingswood Greens this week. Height of cut has been increased on tees, fairways, and collars and approaches on all golf courses in preparation for winter. All fall fertilizer applications have been completed, and the first fall colorant application began in October on the tees and fairways. Tournament report by Alex Stanford. We had successful hosted 3 high school events, 2A boys and girls club, and 4A state boys and state girls tournaments here. And we appreciate all the volunteers that helped all 3 days. One day it was very rainy. Prostate cancer tournament was held in September, generated a significant amount of donations, and the Future Cup was held last weekend. We'll have more on that next month, and I'll keep you in suspense on how well that went. It went very well. Scottsdale Saturday, O'Reilly and Pink will be at Scottsdale on Saturday, October 25th, and it is full. Veterans Day tournament is Highlands on Tuesday, November 11th at 9 a.m. It's Shotgun at the Highlands. Daryl discussed golf changes that will have occurred, and Megan Vaughn will remain at Scottsdale and oversee Dogwood and Brittany. Paul Gomez has overseen the Country Club and Tanya Creek, and Gavin Smith will be overseeing Kingswood and Burksdale. Hannah Hillier will be a full-time golf instructor. Our next meeting will be November 12th, 4 p.m. And I thank Tom for taking last month for me.
Good. Thanks, Ruth. Any questions for Ruth?
I don't have any questions for Ruth, but thank you very much for that. I do have a question about lakes, if you don't mind. Did you say the grass carp tournament took place on the 11th? Mm-hmm. Do you have any feedback or results that you can share yet?
I think they, Rick was a little bit disappointed. I think they pulled out 20, 21, 22. So the number wasn't as much as they had hoped for, which could also be an indication that there's fewer fish out there to catch. So it was a good effort. His ongoing raffles that he's been doing, I think they've collected 60 fish that way, so 80 total. If my numbers, I'm going off of memory here. So they're heading in the right direction. I think they were more optimistic. They're talking about having a second grass carp tournament in the spring.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was looking again. They only had 18 people sign up to fish. So, anything else, Beth?
All right, we're here to talk about September, and as always, the financial reports included in this presentation will also be posted to the POA website along with the financials. So looking at a consolidated view, water and POA together for just the month of September, revenue came in at $3,454,000, which was worse than budget and worse than prior year. Expenses, $2,470,000, also worse than budget, but better than prior year. So EBITDA for the month was $454,000, worse than budget and worse than prior year. Year to date, revenue is $32,209,000, which is better than budget and prior year. Expenses, $24,263,000. Worse than budget in prior year. So EBITDA year to date, $3,269,000 worse than budget in prior year. Looking at POA only, the chart on the right is for the quarter. This is without water. You can see the actual is in gray, budget green, prior year gold. In August, we were beating budget in prior year, but in September, we dipped down below both of those. Some notable variances for the month: membership transfer fees were $30,000 better than budget. Trail maintenance income, $13,000 better. Blowing Springs Campground, $11,000 better. Worse than budget in September. Golf fees were $59,000 worse than budget. Food and beverage sales, $36,000 worse than budget. Looking at the operating expenses for the POA for the month, they came in at $2,299,000, worse than budget in prior year. Some notable variances: better than budget in September were chemicals and fertilizer, $45,000 better. Bad debts, $43,000 better. Liability and casualty insurance, $28,000 better. Employee benefits was $21,000 worse than budget. Software support, $13,000 worse. Contract labor, $10,000 worse. And maintenance repairs, trail equipment, $8,000 worse. Year to date, the POA is $22,052,000 in revenue, which is $633,000 worse than budget, but $384,000 better than prior year. Cost of goods sold is $124,000 better than budget because the revenue's down, and $360,000 more than prior year. Expenses are $248,000 worse than budget year to date, and $1.5 million more than prior year. EBITDA, $758,000 worse than budget, $1.5 million worse than prior year, and it's coming in at a negative $149,000. Looking at water for the month of September, the chart on the right is for the quarter. You can see that water sales, the dark blue, beat budget in prior year, both July and August, but dipped below both in September. Worse than budget in September was water sales, $62,000 worse. Charlie tells me the irrigation is just very variable this year with all the rain, and that's what he felt like happened in September. Better than budget in September was investment income. Looking at water's operating expenses for the month of September, better than budget was the liability and casualty insurance, and worse than budget was meter installation materials, which is to be expected with all the new meters that they are installing and expecting to install. Expenses came in at $441,000 for the month, which was worse than budget and prior year. Looking at water's year to date, the revenue is $2,157,000, which is $680,000 better than budget and $1.1 million better than prior year. Cost of goods sold is $55,000 worse than budget and $193,000 worse than prior year with that increase in revenue. Expenses are $466,000 worse than budget and $626,000 worse than prior year. And EBITDA is coming in $171,000 better than budget and $270,000 better than prior year, with the year-to-date EBITDA being $3.4 million. Looking at cash, water's operating cash is $5,040,000. Their reserves is $1.6 million. I do plan on transferring to reserves the budgeted 2025 budgeted amount for water, hopefully by the end of October. POA is operating cash is $1.2 million, and the reserves is $857,000. Looking at the one pager, the EBITDA variances to budget is on the left. This is year to date. You can see the departments that are winning are golf maintenance, legal, water, maintenance, and construction. The ones largest worse than budget, general income, which is a lot of insurance, health insurance, property liability insurance is mainly that. food and beverage, and golf operations. On the debt, POA owes water 3.1 million, and we owe regions 5.8 million. I think we've covered everything else on that slide. Finally, though, some good news this year. So I'm really excited to tell you that we were really recently notified that our Q1 2021 employee retention claim credit will be processed in early November. Doug, Tom, and I have been working diligently for several years on this. We anticipate the net receipt will be approximately 1.1 million. That's factoring in the legal fees and taxes. And given how challenging this year has been, not to throw a wet blanket on it though, these funds will help improve the year, but will leave little extra for discretionary spending. The IRS audit window has passed. We are still working on the Q2 and Q3 ERC claims, but there's no guarantee we'll receive those funds, even though we are receiving the funds for Q1. So that's a bright spot.
That's great news. The Q2 and Q3, have they been filed?
Oh yeah, they were filed the same time as Q1.
Okay, so
several
when you
years
say we
ago.
are still working on, you mean we're basically just waiting?
The IRS is, yeah,
Gotcha.
we're in wait mode on those,
Yeah,
yes.
that's great news.
Yeah.
And the attorney firm that we were working with, there's no rhyme or reason why they did Q1 but haven't done the other ones. He's had clients where the government has processed Q2 and not Q1, and Q3 but not Q2 and Q1. So there's not really any rhyme or reason to that. If you recall, we felt strongest about Q1, reasonably strong about Q2, and not quite as strong about Q3. So it doesn't 100% surprise us that we got the green light on Q1.
If by chance Q2 and Q3 were positively filed and returned, they would potentially be as much or higher, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Thank you.
We do not plan on budgeting for those in next year because it's, you know, we've been working on this for years, and all of a sudden I get an email and I'm like, holy cow, I ran over to Doug's office. He's like, he hadn't seen it yet. So I was like, did you see it? So we're very pleased. Finally, some good news this year.
That it? Thank you, Beth. In the middle of budget season, so hang in there. I got it.
Yeah.
All right, next on the agenda is open forum, and we have two people that want to speak. Looks like about the same thing. Matthew, welcome back. Good to see you again.
Nice to see you all. Hey, on the night of October 11th, going into the 12th, we have an Airbnb next door, and they had a raging party, but we weren't invited. So I'm calling because I want you to figure this out, and I'm making an official statement about it. They have a 2-bedroom house. They had over 20 cars that were parked on the street, parked on our grass. I have the pictures to prove it, just so you could see that this wasn't just a normal little party, and parked literally on the grass, fully. So at 5 Nantwich Circle, it's a short-term rental. We have historically lots of problems with it. For one, the caretakers only mow the yard every 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks. So it's usually about 24 inches tall. Someone has to call it in. This is getting very old. This has happened to all, they just built this house. So this has been a common problem, and now we have the parties. I don't know what the POA can do, but I'm coming here because that's the issue. We've got crazy parties, we've got short-term rentals. They're a staple for our community. We need them, but we also need to have ordinances. We have a ton of seniors that are on our street. We have children, and those disturbances that are going into 2 o'clock in the morning, that shouldn't be allowed. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, JB.
I recommend that you go to the city council meeting on Monday and talk to them, because they're the ones that can do something about that. The city and the police.
So is your stance that the POA can't do anything on our short-term rentals?
We don't,
The most we can do would be to suspend the member so that they can't get guest passes.
Yeah.
Which is only so much leverage. You're talking about noise, the city has a noise ordinance. And the parking, that's also, the city police can deal with that. So I encourage you to follow.
I'll be there on Monday.
Please do.
Because that's really a STR, short-term rentals, are really a city issue and not a POA issue. We don't have the leverage they have.
and please go, because just telling us and not telling them.
Like I said, I've already got it on my calendar. I'm gonna.
Okay, good. We'll see you there.
The tall grass complaint, I think that would fall
That-
under
that-
ACC.
that is
right?
ACC.
Yeah.
I need to go to an ACC meeting then?
No,
No,
just
go
file
to
the
the
complaint.
city. Yeah,
Call the ACC.
Well, that's one of the issues that we have with the latency is when we do report through the ACC on the 24-inch grass, the code enforcement who works with a very nice gentleman, I can't remember his name right now, Larry maybe, he takes him days to get out, so it's.
Have you tried to locate the owner and who runs the Airbnb and talk to them?
We have, and they are not, they don't communicate on
You
this.
call the police the minute you have
Yes.
people parking in the grass and the
Yes.
noise gets loud or it gets past the time where they got, just call them right then. Don't wait. Call them and make a complaint then they'll come out.
Yes, sir.
Just a comment about parking on the grass, short-term rental, you're not allowed to park on the street, let alone the grass, just so you know.
Thank you.
I'd also like
Thank
to
you.
recognize, I enjoy, I like your hat.
Let's not get crazy. Donna, did you want to speak?
Yeah, so, and I was wondering too, where it crosses over from city ordinance, so you're saying all the issues that were brought up
speak into the mic.
are city ordinance, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. Same thing, just love the peace and quiet of the neighborhood until that evening was the first time. And I actually moved from a town in Arizona that's very different, obviously, as you look out the window, but very similar because we had a big retirement population, vacation, and recreational. And the VRBO was a constant. I was in law enforcement there, and we got called out constantly for noise complaints. So I don't know if there's anything the POA could do as far as it would. And when I would go out, I mean, sometimes I can understand both sides. We have retired people who bought a home that wasn't next to a VRBO, became one. Then you have VRBO people who are like, hey, we paid a lot of money to be here. We're here to have a good time. So it was a clash, and sometimes it was volatile. I mean, one time I flat out had to say, you guys are both gonna get arrested if you don't knock it off, because it just escalates so bad. So does the POA have any kind of ability to require in their rental contracts that they tell them what the POA rules or the city ordinance rules are, or is that against city ordinance?
No, unfortunately, so we're recreation oriented. And so.
But not fighting.
Yeah, not that kind of recreation. But, so you've referenced noise, you've referenced parking, Matt referenced 20 people in a 2-bedroom home, that's septic. All those key things are all controlled by the city. Then you also referenced the lawn, that's ACC. So I'm not trying to go somewhere else,
No, I understand.
that's not our area of authority. If you're talking about that they're causing a problem at the gym facility, that we can deal with, or in the golf course or something like that, that's something we can handle. But noise, parking, septic is not our area. So we encourage you to go to the city meeting, bring the same level of passion that you're bringing here, and reasonable, which is always effective. You're passionate, but you're also, both of you are being very reasonable. Bring it to the right people. And as Bob indicated, don't wait until it gets to 24 inches. Call them at 20 inches or 18 inches, and don't wait. And I think the noise ordinance kicks in at 10. 9?
I thought
I
it
said it
was
was
10.
10.
And
You
then
know,
also a certain distance from, which the next morning, I'm across the hollow. The next morning, the music was very loud also.
I would
so
call,
the
you know,
city ordinance says
if it's
30 feet, I think.
if it's 10:01, call them. I think the noise ordinance is 10 to 6.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. So if they're blaring at 6:30 in the morning or 5:30 in the morning, sorry, thought about it the wrong, call. Call soon, call often, squeaky wheel.
Are the permits, so they do have to have a permit also. Is
They
that
do
POA
have-
related or no?
The
Also,
permits are
okay.
issued through the city.
Okay, because that's another way Havasu dealt with it in Arizona, was if there was a certain amount of complaints, the permit could get.
And I would share what you just said.
Yes.
About, you know, maybe these are some improvements that the city could make to their current process.
Right. Okay, well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so
So
much.
we'll see you Monday at the city, I'll see you
I'm
Monday
gonna
at the
be
city
out of town.
council.
I'm
meeting.
not gonna be here,
Oh.
so I'll have to figure that out, but I'll be out.
Well,
of town.
right.
Okay. I will do that. I will write. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Donna. Go ahead, Bob.
I'm just wondering, Doug, if it would make sense if we could work in conjunction with the city and maybe foster some sort of rules and regulations within our body that, you know, when our members are being disturbed or displaced like this, that we do have a vehicle for putting in a suspension for that owner's rights.
You could make a decent argument, I mean, you could make an argument that our policies most of our policies have catch-alls, you know, and this would, meaning you have to be respectful of other property, other members. I think that's enough of a catch-all that could capture this and make sure you give, this is Jessica, our corporate secretary, make sure she gets the address of the individuals, and maybe we could suspend them, which would, we can only suspend for 30 days. It's the maximum amount according to our governing documents, but it would at least prevent them from getting guest passes, which is a little bit of a help.
Well, and just sending them a letter that we're watching them. And that,
We can do that, but we just don't have any weight
have any
behind
teeth.
the letter.
right, well, other than the suspension.
Correct.
Right, so,
Matt, is this is 5? Nantwich. Got it.
We got it on video, so we're good.
We got it. Okay. Thank you guys for coming. There were no emails, right, Jessica? Okay. All right. Moving on to the next item, proposed water contract.
So all the remaining items on the agenda were discussed at length at the work session. So if the board goes through these with or without much dialogue, there was quite a bit of dialogue at the work session. So sometimes members will only tune in to just this meeting, and then the board goes through these very quickly, and then they get concerned that there hasn't been a dialogue. But in many cases, there already has occurred. So the city of Bentonville is our largest water wholesaler. They provide 70% of the water to our water system, with the other 30% coming from Benton County, Washington, Teton, provides 30% of the other source. And we were under a 20-year agreement, and they are proposing a new 10-year agreement. This came up at the work session. We were optimistic that the city of Bentonville was going to vote on this in the month of October. It was not on their agenda. So Charlie's going to put in a call to see when they're going to take a vote on this. But we anticipate that there will not be any further changes to this agreement. It will increase our rates, but fortunately, it's not nearly as much of an increase that the residents of the city of Bentonville saw. They saw earlier this year a 100% increase. We anticipate the increase to our property owners, our customers, to be no more than 10%, although we haven't yet approved the budget, so that's why I'm being a little bit vague and saying it's going to be less than 10%. Doug and Charlie worked with the city of Bentonville for over a year on this, made some modifications to this, and we anticipate this will take care of our current and future needs over a 10-year period. Charlie is projected over a 10-year period, so we feel this covers us well. So we are recommending approval of this agreement by the board.
Do that. I lost it.
Approve the new 10-year contract.
Thank you. Do that.
I second that. Whatever we second.
You left that open. Insert there. David, second. Comments?
I know that you've been working on this for a long time, and you think you have the numbers nailed down, but they haven't voted on it yet. And I have a problem with voting on what I would call a blank check. I don't think we should vote on this until the city, Bentonville, approves that they're willing to do it. It just makes me nervous.
I think we talked about that last week, though, and Tom, you know, it was like, if what the city ultimately says they want doesn't fit the parameters of what we're agreeing to, we'd have to come back and readdress the issue at that time. It's not just a blank check.
If there's any substantial, you know, we've included in the board packet, which is available online for any property owner that wants to view it. If there's any substantial deviation from what the board is voting on, which includes the rate structure in here, we would need to come back to the board for a second vote. With that being said, and I mentioned this before, I don't think there's going to be any changes. This has been approved by their water people. It's been approved by their attorney. I don't think there's going to be any changes, but if there were, we would have to come back to the board.
Before any further, you did not second, is that right? You were going to speak, right?
Deb.
Oh, Jeff did?
Deb.
Oh, Deb did? Sorry, didn't hear you, Deborah. Okay, sorry. Continue with discussion, sorry. Anybody else, anything else? Nope. All right, all in favor of approving the 10-year wholesale water agreement with the city of Bentonville? Opposed? Abstained? Okay.
The next item on the agenda is the policy 1.04 and 3.03. This is the first of two required readings for both of these. For those viewing at home, we encourage you to watch the recording of the Rules and Regulations Committee and the most recent work session, which covers both of these in much more depth. Policy 1.04 has to do with the joint advisory committees, and policy 3.03 has to do with common property lakes.
I move to approve the suggested changes to policy 1.04, joint advisory committee. This is the first reading of two required readings.
Thank you, Jeff.
Second.
Thank you, Kathleen. Any further conversation on this one? No? All in favor? No opposed, 9-0. Now the policy 3.03.
I make a motion to approve the suggested changes to policy 3.03, common property lakes. This is the first reading of two required readings.
Thank you, Deborah. Second. Thank you, Jackie. Any conversation, excuse me, on this one? Nope. All in favor? 9-0, thank you.
I'm going to back up. I apologize. I should have referenced that these changes have to do with the lake violation fee that we are recommending, and we should have included, and I apologize, that we're also recommending approval of these changes to the fishing, boating, and water sports regulations, which are also included in here. If I could get a vote on that, I would appreciate it. I apologize, I did not include a suggested motion, but I could voice.
So moved.
So what you were saying is, I recommend a motion to approve the suggested changes to the lakes and boating regulations. Only one vote is required, only one reading is required for this.
That's exactly what I said.
Absolutely.
In summary.
JB and David. Any conversation on that one?
So for clarification, is this the voting violation fees?
Yes,
we're doing
all
separate.
three of these changes have to do with the central issue of the voting violation fees.
But this third suggested motion was for the fees, just so I
No,
understand.
it was to integrate the fee schedule into the boating regulations, which is what is handed out to every person that registers their boat.
So by voting on this now, we anticipate that next month we will do a second reading on the two previous motions, which we passed. And at that time, you will have had time to do the printing for the new regulations to be handed out as of December 1st when people come in and want to start.
Correct.
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 Any further conversation? All in favor? Thank you, 9-0.
These next changes do not have anything to do with the boat violation fees. They were just additional work that was done by the Rules and Regulations Committee. Once again, for those who would like to learn more about these changes, we recommend you view the most recent Rules and Regulations Committee and the most recent work session. Policy 1.01 has to do with member access to association information, and policy 1.03.4 has to do with the charitable giving committee.
I make a motion to approve the suggested changes to policy 1.01, member access to association information. This is the first reading of 2 required readings.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, David. Any additional conversation, discussion on that one? This one's just, this is the one that's more, getting more specific on the verbiage, right?
More specific on the verbiage regarding access to employee documentation.
Correct. Anything else? All in favor? Thank you, 9-0.
And this next one has to do with giving the Charitable Giving Committee a little bit more robust backing on their decision-making.
I make a motion to approve the suggested changes to policy 1.0.4, Charitable Giving Committee. This is the first reading of 2 required readings.
Thank you, Deborah.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jeff. Any further conversation on that one? No? All in favor?
Okay, the next one, we are soon to be entering election season for the Board of Directors. Jessica starts putting out notices in early to mid-December. And so current chair, Robert Ritchell, would need to be reaffirmed or renominated, and Margaret Colleen would also need to have that done. We have one other member on the committee, and that person's term has not yet expired. They are looking for some additional people, so if anybody at home is interested in serving on the elections committee, please let our corporate secretary know.
I move to affirm the nomination of Robert Ritchell to the election committee.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Sandy. Was that a second? Yeah, this is for the election committee, right?
Correct.
All in favor of Bob? He does a good job. All right, we need a motion for Miss Margaret.
I make a motion affirming the nomination of Margaret Colleen to the election committee.
Thank you, Catherine.
Okay.
Thank you, Sandy. No conversation on her?
Yes, Sandy second. All in favor of Ms. Margaret? Thank you, 9-0.
The last item on the agenda, unfortunately, this was not covered during the work session that came about following that. With the departure of our previous Director of Business Development / Food and Beverage, all of those liquor licenses, which are in one person's name, now must shift. So they will now be placed in my name. And I will have to go down to Little Rock for training, which I'm really thrilled about. So we have 11 licenses that need to be updated. So as required by state ABC regulations, we are asking that the board approve this motion so we can transfer those to my name.
Curiosity question, because of the name change, was that an issue for the one restaurant?
No.
Okay,
No.
just curious, because sometimes the state laws are weird.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, we just need to, and they give you a little bit of grace because it happens where restaurants will change management and so forth. So this happens, but we just need to get it done within a reasonable amount of time.
I move to approve the resolution to update all POA liquor licenses from our former Director of Business Development to the Chief Executive Officer.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jackie. Yeah, this is a have to, really. Any other conversation on that?
I just have a question. Are all 11 licenses the same license?
No, some of them are different because some of them are, I'm gonna let you cover that.
Some of them are.
Each location is a little bit different. Like we have 2 private club licenses for BVRC, and I don't remember the other location, but some of them allow on premise, some allow you taking the packaged beer off site if it's unopened. Some you can like private club, you can consume on site open. So there's several different classifications depending on our location.
And do the current licenses satisfy, in your opinion, all the needs of our members? Or is there a way, are there expansion of licenses to allow other methods of distribution?
I would just say that we haven't been approached by anyone saying you don't offer this in this location. I'd like to see that. We haven't seen that.
We made some changes to one of our locations 4 some odd years ago because we didn't allow carryout. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember which location it was. It was Kingsdale. It was Kingsdale, and it was probably 4 or 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. But we made a modification because some customers, some members came to us and asked for a change, and we changed it at that time. I don't think we've changed anything since then. And that also led us to have, we kept that in mind when we got the Tanyard Creek license. So I think we're covered. But if anybody comes to us, we're definitely open-minded.
Is this 11, is that all we have?
That's correct,
That's
yes.
all of them, yeah.
And the Little Sugar was changed, BB65 was changed to Little Sugar a couple of weeks before the director of F&B left, so we had that in process.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You did get one.
Any other conversation?
Did you finalize the vote?
No,
Okay.
not yet. We didn't get a motion yet, did we?
Yeah.
We did. Oh, Jeff did, that's right. Okay. Time elapsed. All in favor? 9-0, thank you. That is the end of the agenda. Does anybody have anything else that they want to talk about before we go into the announcements? That I will do this time since I didn't do them at work session. Nope. All right. The 2026 budget is Thursday, November 6th at 9 a.m. here in the boardroom. That is a closed meeting. The next Recreation JAC meeting is Monday, November 10th at 4 p.m. in the boardroom and live stream.
There will be no Lakes JAC meeting in the month of November. Their next meeting will be December 3rd at 2 here in the boardroom or live stream. Golf JAC next meeting is Wednesday, November 12th at 4 here in the boardroom and live stream. The 2026 Community Draft Budget Presentation is Thursday, November 13th at 6 p.m. here in the boardroom and live stream. And the next Board of Directors regular session is Thursday, November 20th, almost Thanksgiving, at 6 p.m. here at the Country Club and boardroom and live stream. That's it. Anything else? Meeting adjourned.